How you doing?
I am. Here we are. The making and the journey of Preschool to Prison documentary project.
Oh my God. Can you believe today is 5 years?
I can believe it because she has put me through it, y'all. This project, Lord have mercy.
Don't listen to him.
No, what I always tell you, this is my God baby. This has been my God baby. I've been an uncle, and just to see this baby in its infancy, see this baby go to the NICU, see this baby go to the school nurse, see this baby go to college, see this baby get awards. I am a proud uncle. So
you
5 years.
I picked the right goddaddy for this baby because this
am
is
the goddaddy.
Let me before we even get into the journey and how we've been able to sustain and hit 5 years and be standing strong, 10 toes down for one another. I say this all the time, and I just want to say I'm so grateful to God for sending you into my life and me into your life. We were truly meant to be business partners in this. We have become family through this process. And I'm honored to call you my little brother now.
Same. My sister, my Dr.K.
Yeah, because, and I say that because you believed in the vision,
I did.
right? You believed in the vision from day one. And what a lot of people don't know, and, I always say, surround yourself with people who will love you for free. Okay? Surround yourself with people who will love you for free because you loved me for free.
To this day. Because I saw
and
the
I love
vision.
you back for
I
free.
feel it. And God answered my prayer because as I tell you, you one of my sheroes.
Yes.
As we unpack and talk about everything that we've done, you have inspired me to keep going.
So let's talk about how we got here.
I was going to say, how did the vision even come to you to say, I want to talk about dismantling the preschool to prison pipeline?
Ooh. So, as you know, I was a teacher. I was a special education teacher in the South Bronx. Big up the Bronx, New York City, BX, right?
The Bronx crazy.
Now
the Bronx scares me. I've always got to tell people.
See, people say that, but
I've seen a lot in the Bronx. The Bronx
we have
is a wild
lot.
place.
We have a lot to offer, though.
I'm working on healing my Bronx trauma.
We have a lot to offer, and that's why everywhere I go, I always talk about being from the Bronx because of the mindsets and what people think they know, and what people have experienced and what they do know. And there's so much greatness there and so much talent. And so I'm always proud to say, like, I'm Bronx strong. I'm Bronx made. Like, I'm proud of that, right? But how did we get here being a special education teacher in the South Bronx? And even before being a teacher, just growing up, my childhood, my experiences as a student, as a child, community living, right? All of those things. And just seeing what was happening in our community, drugs ravaging the community, people struggling, the suffering, and you think it's normal because it is the norm where you're living, seeing my peers drop out of school. And then fast forward, now I'm a special education teacher and I'm seeing so many of my students being referred for special education and they didn't need it. Some did. Some genuinely did need services, but not all of them. Those babies were brilliant. They taught me so much. My kids used to show me how to break through the proxy code to get on YouTube. They'd be like, oh, I know how to do that. And I was like, your IEP say what? And that's how I started researching. I was like, this is not normal. How can all these kids be placed here? And when I discovered the school to prison pipeline, I was like, what? Because, I'm in my 20s. I ain't know nothing about no school to prison pipeline in my early.
You just want that money. You just wanted the passion to help the babies.
Exactly. Education wasn't even my first major in school. I had journalism, right? And so I'm a journalist, and just knowing that, and I fell into education because I had a friend tell me come and do this, and I was just like, all right, I'll come help out in a group home, and then it just started going from there. And when I saw that, it made me sick to know that I've done things to perpetuate the pipeline unintentionally. Right? And you don't even realize these things that are being fed to you through society, through your own family, through your community, and how I brought that with me. And I've that stayed with me. Sure. And then, through that journey, my youngest brother is on that pipeline. He's on that pathway, and we didn't know. because I'm 14 years older than him, right? Technically old enough to be his mom. So I'm in my career, living on my own. He's still in school.
Yeah.
And then we get that call one day. My brother's arrested.
Caught in the pipeline.
Caught up in the pipeline. Ended up serving time in a prison on the same grounds as his high school, where he could just look out the window right at his high school. That changed everything for me. And I was like, God, show me I got to do something. I was angry. And I was like, this is not healthy. I was lashing out. I was ready to go at it with educators because I was just like, you're part of the problem. You've been part of the problem. Right? And I was like, okay, this isn't healthy, God. What do I do with this? I got to channel this somewhere positive every time I go into a prison, into a jail, and I'm seeing these young kids in here, and people don't know what these families are going through. It doesn't matter what they did, right? But just the fact that it's happening, they're there. Yeah. And families are suffering. And God gave me the vision to do the documentary.
Wow.
And I was terrified of that. I was terrified of that vision.
And it's funny that you say you're terrified, because before we initially met, I had moved to LA at 18. And going out there so young, the way you said education fell into your lap, producing fell into my lap, because I was in front of the camera. I was ready to be like, I'm the next Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I was ready. And I said, I started getting on set and acting, and I always was a writer, and I always knew I wanted to direct as well. And I knew filmmaking was on that path, but going to LA in 2007, I started seeing people that didn't look like me. They weren't behind the scenes. And I started, at the time, there was this surge of like people getting these cameras called DSLRs and doing their own webisodes, like web series. And I remember right before I met you in 2019, I was working for a well-known person's production company. And this person was miserable, making all the money in the world. And they were making content and TV shows and movies for these big studios, these big networks. And it was like I was watching someone be a slave. And I remember driving down Ventura Boulevard. And I remember telling myself, God, I don't want to be like that person. I want to do meaningful work. I want to do something that, granted, I was able to do stuff for Netflix and Comedy Central and BET and make a film, make 2 films and make all these short films and go to film festivals. But what more? What next? What's something that I know I'm doing God's work?
Yes.
And lo and behold, I wasn't even going to go, but I had got all these meetings. I got all these meetings at Sundance. And here I go. I'm like, oh, let me go to Sundance. Sundance 2020. And at Sundance 2020, we had a mutual colleague that I worked with before who you knew. How did you know that person?
So y'all, this is where we
yeah, because your Sundance story. Connect to Sundance.
Yeah. So I went to Sundance. I love the arts, obviously, film, being in that world of television and journalism and all of that. And so I would go to the festival. And I went a couple of years in a row. And we both, the person that we know in common, that we both were working in the same, we ended up running into each other. And we ended up becoming close from that because we ended up working the same event. And we ran into each other 3 times in the same day. And I said to him, I stopped him on the 3rd time, because on the 3rd, he was like, again, we saw each other. And I said, you know what? That's a sign that we're supposed to be connected. And he said, you're right. And then him and I were connected. So fast forward, I told him about my idea to do the film. Now, prior to that, this is probably a little scary for some people. There was this lady, and I was working with her, and she said to me, she said, pick up the camera and tell the story. I didn't know who this woman was. I didn't know what that meant. I said, pick up the camera, tell the story. What story? What story is she talking about?
Yeah.
Tell the story.
It was foreign to you.
And she just looked at me. She's like, I'm just told to tell you that, right? And so higher power telling her. And so that's how that happened. So I was sharing this with him, and I was like, okay, I have this vision. I want to do this documentary. And I didn't know anyone in Hollywood. He was the only person I knew. And I was like, can you do this with me? Like, can you help me through this? I don't know how to do this. And I appreciate him to this day. Because he said, to be honest with you, I don't have an interest in that topic. He said, but I know someone who does. He said, and I know I know y'all gonna love each other.
Yeah.
I said, for real?
And crazy how he even referred me, because at that time, and the person I was working for, I would be working in writer's room and these writers groups and just amongst Black filmmakers. And I would say, why are we not disrupting the system? Why are we not saying this? Why are we not being able to be truth seekers and storytellers that are like pushing people to want to disrupt? So I was known around town as the disruptor.
Yeah.
And when we connected, and I never forget meeting you at that brunch, and it was something about you. And when you told me that, I had...
No, we didn't meet at the brunch.
Oh, it was HBO.
We went to HBO. We both got an invite to the HBO party. And we were online. It was nearly like negative degrees in Utah, standing on the slope or the hill in Park City. We were freezing, y'all.
Talking about the preschool-to-prison pipeline.
And we're online, and here you come walking. And he's like, there you go. There's E right there. I said, who E? Because at this point, it didn't make, we didn't meet yet. So then he was like, the guy I told you I wanted to introduce you to, who I think, and we hit it off in the freezing cold. We were talking like it wasn't cold. Like we knew each other. I felt like we knew each other.
It was alignment.
It was alignment.
And before I had went there, it was another production company that I really was hoping that they, like, I wrote a script, and I was like, they'll take the script. And I just knew it. It was a person who, you know, they had a popular show, and I'm like, okay, this can work. But when I started talking to you, and then the next day when I saw you at that brunch, I swear to God, and I drove from Park City to Salt Lake City. I kept seeing your face. Wow. And I was like, and mind you, I'm driving, and anybody ever, you know, if you've ever driven, it's those windy roads. So I'm trying to focus on the road.
I stayed in Salt Lake before and did Park City. I said never again. I said I will always find a space in Park City.
And I'm trying to focus on the road, and I kept seeing you, hearing your voice. And also I had acted in a project that was, I played a character named Jordan who was affected by the school-to-prison pipeline.
Yes, I remember that.
And I was like, why is this circling and orbiting around me? And I left there, and I said, you need to set up a Zoom. You need to follow up with her. Went back to LA, and I felt in my prayer. I said, you got to work with her. Yeah. You got to stand by her side. Yeah. And then we end up doing those Zooms.
Oh, my gosh.
And then we both were like, we about to do it. Let's mind map.
We about to do this.
Boom. The pandemic. The world shuts down.
Let me tell you. That... Who would have thought 2 months after we met, the world would have shut down? First of all, it feels like we've known each other
for 50 years.
Yes, like put a zero behind that.
I'm really 75. I tell people I'm an old granddaddy soul.
You are, but you got a high spirit, and the fact that you kept seeing my face and just knew you should work with me. But the world shuts down. So we have this great idea, and when you said you wanted to do it, I was so excited. And so
we're taking those Zooms.
We're on Zooms, and we're having meetings, and we're bringing other people in on the vision. Like
and we was doing Zooms before Zooms became a thing.
Yeah, well, I've been doing Zooms for like 10
that's
years.
When you said it, and then of course operating as a producer, as a director, that's how we would connect.
Because I was consulting. Right. So I was traveling, and I did a lot of virtual work with my clients. So I knew all about Zooms. So we were doing a lot of the Zooms, connecting, and then 2 months later, right, world shuts down. And so at this point, I knew I still wanted to move forward. But I also wanted to respect you and what you brought, because your experience, you have great value. You add so much value to everything that you touch.
Gratitude.
Seriously, man. Like, you truly are one of one.
Gratitude.
And you better remember that.
I receive it.
Yes. And so through that, I remember a couple months in, you know, things were still like everybody working from home. We all on lockdown, and you and I still going strong. And then we get to the point where we got to really start putting it in motion.
Yeah.
I lose my job.
Yeah. And I was contract based at that point. So we were trying to film stuff that got put on hold for that production company that I was working for.
Because everybody thought it was just a couple of months.
Everybody's like, oh, we'll be good by summer.
Yes.
So I'm like, we'll be good. And then we get to the summer, and we were like, I'm like, okay, Dr. K, what we do? And shout out to you, because I was starting to get kind of like, I just was getting depleted, because it felt like we were on lockdown. Yes. I felt like a prisoner. I felt like E was on from being out here in these streets to prison. That's my short film I was ready to make.
No, through all that though,
he had to
shout out
down.
To God, because, we needed to sit still, right? And because so much was revealed during that time. But shout out to God for putting on your spirit. Because when I said to you, I said, I didn't know how to tell you because we had already started and you got so excited. And then I said, E,
I lost my job.
I lost my job and I can't afford to pay you. And when you hit me back and you said, I don't have a job either.
Listen.
And the way we laughed, and we were just two unemployed people making a film.
Shout out to them stimulus checks, and you ain't even get one.
I didn't even get a stimulus check.
The stimulus got me through. I cleaned out my savings.
All these years, and I couldn't get one.
Listen, Dr.K, I cleaned out my savings. Thank God, California, I was able to get unemployment.
Yeah.
I mean, California was quick with that unemployment, but I just was like, what's next? And I knew that it was in alignment for us to work together because you was like, E, I got this amount of money and let's fundraise the rest.
Yes.
And here we go in the pandemic.
Unemployed. I took the money I had saved because I believed, I knew, this is why I always say faith and obedience reaps great reward, because my faith in God and my obedience to the assignment, giving me that vision, and some would have said, you crazy. You took your savings to go and do this? Yup. God told me to do it.
Obedience has a price.
Obedience reaps great reward. Faith and obedience reaps great reward.
And the price of it.
So for us to be able to fundraise, and I literally just went through my phone book and I was like, I know we in a pandemic, but whoever
But your
show
obedience, talking about the fundraising parties, and this is for a lot of filmmakers out there who like, I don't know how to do it. There are people that have been watching you, seeing your commitment, and they might have, I think we had people donating 20, 50.
Yeah.
You had people giving thousands.
Yes.
But just, I was a little hesitant because I'm like, Dr. K, it's a pandemic and we asking people for money, people on hard times.
Closed mouth don't get fed.
And we raised that money. We had what, 2 or 3 virtual?
We had three virtual fund, and people were like, when do you have it? And then people, I remember people who said, okay, I could give you something every time I get paid. I had somebody give 5 donations.
I remember that.
And every time she got paid, she was like, I really believe in this. Yep. I had a lady who was unemployed and God forbid lost her son. And she was like, I need this project done because it could save somebody else's child. Yeah. And for her to give that money, I was like, oh my, and that's how I knew we were following God's word.
But I give you your flowers because the people that we had on there, majority of the people were from your community. And I think that your community of people who were by your side in education, they were close proximity to see the issue. Mm-hmm. And they knew that you were the type of person because like you shared with people, you literally were in the school system saying, this not right. Mm-hmm. And you were echoing that to other people. So I think that's why they were able to give. Mm-hmm. So here we are connecting with people and showing them we're here doing the work. And they looking, I remember certain people looking on the Zoom like, who is he? Where did he come from? And I knew it just felt like, y'all, we could do something. As much as the world was crazy and seeing people die like that, and during the pandemic,
still give hope during that time.
But during the pandemic, I knew 3 people personally who committed suicide because it was too much for them.
It was too much. It was
too much.
And we talk about all the time. You got to know your role. You got to know why you were put here, because you're not put here to do what I do.
Yeah.
And I'm not put here to do what you do. Right. Yeah. Even if we're in the same lane and we're doing under the same umbrella, my impact is different than your impact, and you got to know who you are and why you're put here, and you know that makes me sad. That goes
back to the obedience. But so we were able to raise the money, and then we start production.
Woo!
So for me, I just want to
production.
Oh Lord, but I want to before we go into what we went through in production. What was it like being a first-time filmmaker and feeling like, were you doubtful and with the craziness of the world? And remember we started when election season was going on.
There was some fear. And then there was confidence. Both were coexisting. Fear because because of the topic. That's really where the fear was, the topic, and creating a safe space for the people that we were going to interview, thinking about the spaces we were going to go in, thinking about youth in jumpsuits and what that could create for myself too, right? I haven't seen my brother in a jumpsuit. And just there was fear around that, of like, all right, God, what's going to happen? I remember a friend, and he didn't mean to, but people don't realize how they can speak this into you. The power of the tongue, my mother always says, right? And he said, Dr.K, he called me, and he said, you not scared to do this? That's how he talked. And I said, sometimes. He said, you brave, girl. You brave for doing this. I don't know. I couldn't do it. And I said, it wasn't the vision given to you.
Right.
That's why you can't do it.
Right.
And he was like, wow. He paused on the phone. He was like, you right. You right. I said, that's why God didn't give it to you, because he knew you too scared to do it.
Everybody not meant to do what we do.
Everybody's not meant to do what we do.
But you should know your role and how you still can advocate and still building dismantle. A better path.
Yeah. And so, but also the confidence, because I didn't know what I didn't know. Right? And so I tapped into my journalistic side of like, oh, I want to I knew at 7 years old I wanted to be an investigative journalist. I saw Barbara Walters interview Mike Tyson and Robin Givens. I said, that's exactly what I want to do. I didn't know what it was called.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was called. And I was like, I want to do that. And that's how, so the confidence came from like, I could do this finally. I get to be an investigative journalist right now, right? But the fear was really around the vulnerable populations that we were going to interview. So the fear was around that, and the fear was around public perception.
But the good thing about you is that the passion and you having a journalism background, that's me as a producer and being your partner on this journey, that gave me a sense of ease. And when we started production, literally in New York, in the pandemic, September 2020, I remember seeing the fire that you had in you to do this and being able to witness and see you sitting there and talking amongst these people. Of course, we interviewed maybe about 10, 12 people?
Yeah.
10 or 12 people over a span of 3 days?
4
days.
4 days.
And even the idea of we were tapping into our resources.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people at that time, too, they were still trying to figure out what's next. And some people were looking for work. And even the people that we worked with, I think because of the times, we had bumps in the road, we're working with people that I don't think they cared enough about this project because they didn't know what it was. And it was a lot of ego.
Oh, yes.
And even we were supposed to interview somebody that will go unnamed, but we went to Brooklyn and we were waiting in Brooklyn for this person to show up. And this person's chief of staff comes out and says, oh, he not coming. And I remember being enraged. You remember that day?
Yes.
But also the crew that we had, because we didn't have that much money, we also had a crew member that went missing. We had a crew member that went missing.
He got arrested.
But he was missing for the first hour. Then we found out he got arrested, part of the pipeline, which I don't know if I believe that story that he got arrested. I think he was at home because the person was coming with the ice cream container filled up with Kool-Aid.
Don't get me started.
And I think we wanted to give people opportunities.
We did. We wanted to give people opportunities.
But it backfired on us.
Yes. And we were restricted within, as you know, right? Like what's above the line. And anybody who films, like, you got a budget. You better stay within your budget when filming. We couldn't go out of that budget. Right? And so just knowing that and just seeing the time being wasted, just the challenges of filming, and that's sometimes part of my frustration when people are like, oh, I want to do what you do. Oh, I want to film. I want you to do a film on my life now. Oh, yeah, I'm going to do one too. I'm going to make one too. And I'm like, good luck.
Good luck.
Do you know what you're asking for?
That part. But Dr.K, not only that, it was a pandemic. We literally filmed in every borough in New York.
That's wild.
With Staten Island, which no Staten Island hate, but does it really count sometimes?
You're right, we did film it
every Brooklyn, the Bronx, Manhattan, Harlem. Harlem is in Manhattan, but we were everywhere.
You're right. And shout out to Uncle Richard. Shout out to Uncle Richard.
Our associate producer. He really was guiding us and connecting some dots.
One of the best mentors you could have.
He was amazing. He is amazing. But on the process, he was amazing to know somebody got it, because we were working with people that I don't think they had the level of respect and production for.
Oh, no.
And we even went to Jersey.
Yes.
Forget boroughs.
Exactly.
We was in Jersey. We were all over in the car, and we wanted respect because we were passionate about what we did.
Yes, we
did. And even we have to talk about even dealing with the sound issues, hard drives. We were filming and stuff would happen. And
the challenges did not stop. Dog.
Well, I was ready to fight. You was ready to fight too a few days.
On that last day of filming,
I'm from Chicago.
I thought we were both gonna end up arrested.
I was ready to fight.
Okay, one of us got to be calm in this because tensions were just boiling because it was when people just disrespect your love, your time, your commitment, your resources, and we know that we're fighting for something bigger than ourselves. That's where the rage started coming in of how dare you want to put your ego into this? How dare you want to be so insulting and disrespectful? So if it wasn't you calming me down, it's me. I was like, the bail fund was high. Our bail fund was high because we both were like, are you kidding me? We're trying to save children's lives and you coming with this foolishness?
Dismantle something and to help people that we can't even get respect on.
We couldn't get...
To even waste our time like that. That was a day that for me was just like, this got to be destined for greatness. It has to be something.
Well, think about that, right? So now, fast forward, now we in post-production.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're in post-production and it comes to editing. We don't have sound.
No sound.
We don't have color. We don't have this. We don't. And I'm like, if people knew, and then the amount of thousands. I was
gonna say you were dedicated thousands of dollars
to get sound. Like it. If people knew what really goes into making a film, I didn't. And I remember asking you. I said, "E, is this normal?" And you paused because you've been in Hollywood for so long. And you've done so many things with A-listers, so many different celebrities. And so I'm like, okay, you've been on top of the top. And so when you told me no,
it wasn't normal.
That broke my heart. I don't even think you know that. I felt myself go like this because I was like, and I sat with that. And I said, E, this is going to be big because the devil is working overtime.
And that's why with post-productions, not only was it sound, but remember it was also salvaging the footage.
The footage, yes.
So we had to spend thousands, you spent thousands of dollars on it. I was like, hey. And then even once we were in post-production, and Andrew Crabtree, who was our editor, was amazing.
Shout out to Andrew.
Was amazing. But even us talking to Andrew and him seeing the vision and ours, even we were trying to like shorten it because we had so much footage, and we were like, how do we give this to people? And I never forget, I get a call from Dr. K, and she's like, I got to talk to Andrew again. I don't feel okay with 11 minutes. Because we had made one cut, and he was like, I need to give this to people differently. And I went back to that moment, driving down that crazy icy road from Park City, Utah.
I was scared to tell you. And I spoke to Uncle Richard about it. I called Uncle Richard, and I said, I need advice. And he was like, and I said, this is not, I know that E and Andrew been doing this a long time, and I'm new in the industry. I said, but it's not feeling complete to me. I said, you saw it. I need your honest opinion. And he said, Edwin's going to have to be all right with what you want to do.
I already was.
But I didn't, because you don't want to feel like you disrespected somebody's time, that you didn't value their time, right? Like we're always talking about like respect people's time. Yeah. Respect their talents, respect their experiences. And I was like, I don't want them to feel like, what? We did all that and you talking about you need to do something else with it? And Richard said, I do think you can do more. And I do agree. He said, all the things you just shared that you want to do, he says, you absolutely go back and do it.
And you were right. And as a producer, and even as just somebody who cares about humanitarian, who isn't a humanitarian, I knew in that moment, I went back to driving down that road and from Park City to Salt Lake City. And I felt that voice, felt that calm, saw your face, and said, stick beside her. So when we went from 11 to 25, I knew I trusted you.
Yeah.
And I think part of what made me trust you on this process, being a first-time filmmaker, being an education reformer, just all that you are, / I saw your dedication, your passion, and I know that you came from humble beginnings. So once I knew that you cared about people, and you people over profit, you always have been like that.
Yeah.
So it was like, once we had it at 25 minutes, I'm like, we ready. Yeah. So what was that process like for you, like going to like the festivals and starting the community engagement?
Yeah.
After all we went through in production, I felt like, but hold on, we got to pause. All that we went through in production, your life had even took a twist and turn.
Yes, right? Which again, the devil was working overtime.
And we had to stop for what, 6 months because you end up having to have surgery.
Yep, I got sick, had to have surgery on bed rest, and
I stood beside you, son.
You did.
I stood beside you. I said, we gonna get this to the finish line, Dr. K.
I really love you to pieces, for real.
I love you deep like the Pacific
Ocean.
We
stuck with each other for life.
For life. What Cardi B say? Forever.
Bronx again, right? But that getting sick and having nothing but time to lay in that bed and heal, and it was not knowing if am I gonna make it out of this, and I was just like, in my will, leave everything to Eve. but it was literally laying there, and I had to ask myself, do I continue? And I remember you asked me, you said, do you still want to do this? Because for 6 months, we didn't even talk about it. And you were like, what's up with the baby? Where the baby at? And I was like,
the baby was in the NICU.
It was in the NICU, right? And I was like, I said, yeah, just give me some time. And I needed that time of rest. I needed that time of rest to sit and process, what do I envision for this? Where do I need to go? And shout out to you for pushing me on, Dr. K, this is a documentary project, because you don't hear about documentary project, right? Where in Hollywood do you see documentary projects? We have docu-series. That's it.
But I knew once we took it out to the people, it would have impact.
Yes.
And then we had to give people solutions.
Yes.
So now you on bed rest, and now you I felt like that also gave you the energy.
It did.
Because when we hit it hard,
I felt like God was like, okay, you got it. The surgery has to happen now.
We hit hard.
And then it literally, I felt God saying, surgery has to happen now because I am preparing you. And somebody who donated, I remember her saying to me, and she said, Dr. K, you have to do this because God is preparing. You need your energy for what God is about to give you. And I still remember where her and I were standing to this day. I was in Chicago that year.
Chi-town.
I remember that. And we were standing there, and when she said that, I said, wow. And I took that with me. And
that's when I came to meet you at that conference.
Yes, I remember.
And I remember meeting her and felt good energy off of her.
Yes. And so I was like, I received that. And sure enough, I just started just soaring. And I remember my aunt telling me, you no longer sit with turkeys. You now soar with the eagles.
And we literally, y'all, when I tell you we hit the ground running,
running.
We went LA,
sneakers.
we went to the West Coast first, we went to Tulsa.
Yep.
And then when we were
Shout out to LA because and that
Micheaux
was Film
Festival, Greenwood Film Festival.
Yes.
Then we started doing the East Coast, the West Coast, and it felt like we started seeing and having real time feedback from the community.
Yes.
And that's when our wheels started spinning, saying this is the project of community engagement.
Because it's not like it's sexy, right?
It's not.
And so
we had met a PR person who we were trying to work with, and she said, make it sexy. This isn't sexy enough. I want more sexy. Of course she was in LA. And that will stick with us until we leave, because we are like,
so okay, it needs to be more sexy. Right, but
I got what
when
she
you
meant,
think
though.
about,
made
and
it
you know
more
what?
appealing.
And I know exactly, and thank you, right? We take everything, even when we didn't agree with it in that moment, we have learned from all of that. And going to the first festival, and people are coming up with these other projects, and people want to show all this glamour, and here we come now with preschool-to-prison. I was like, oh gosh. Hey, but then to be nominated in an award category for our very first, then I was like,
impact.
What?
Not only nominated, we have went on to win over 14, 16 awards?
We won 12, and we are on Emmy Road now.
On the road to the Emmys.
On the road to the Emmys.
But to touch on the community engagement piece of it, because I think outside of the film festivals, we start having organizations saying, can we do a screening for you?
Yes.
And can we have panel? And we were able to bring everybody from who we interviewed.
Yeah.
And one of the greatest community engagements that just brought me so much joy was at Lehman College in the Bronx. We had people waiting in line like it was a concert.
People.
And we were
showed up in the cold. In February.
And we had every cast member show up. We had the DA show up. We had so many people that they walked out of there, and I felt like that was my proudest moment as a producer on this.
And
because it was your homecoming, right?
And to be 2 blocks from my high school. to be 2 blocks from my high school. I felt so much love that day.
And that's what made me happy, because I knew you deserved that. And also I felt like people left out of there, not only with hope, but we set also like steps for a call to action. Yeah. And I think even when you do the Dismantling the Pipeline workshop that was birthed out of this, I've sat in those with you, and to see how you motivate people to change, that's what I'm proud on this project. I'm like, we created something that will have a greater impact for the babies. Because it's not about us as adults. It's about who's coming behind us that is going to help change the world.
Yes. That's it. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you so much. That's exactly it right there. Of like those community engagements, because I show up with love. I always show up with love first. And I work in communities where people don't look like me, don't vote like me, and I still show up with love. And people go, how you do it? I can't. And I said, this is why God gave it to me.
And it was meant for you. And that vision, I kind of got to take it back to what I said earlier. I was supposed to be at Sundance, and I was supposed to meet you. And you also have been impactful just in my personal life. But when I left there and the pandemic, I tell people, if you didn't come out of the pandemic a different person, I don't know what you did. And I think I'm grateful for it. And to know when we got that call a few months ago that we're on the road to this Emmy, it's like... Did you think we would get there?
I was going to ask you that.
But did you think it would get to that?
I'll tell you, I envisioned myself on a stage with one of the big awards. Like, I kept envisioning it. I kept literally envisioning we're on the stage because our message is going to spread so far, so wide. And I knew what that stage, what that platform could do for communities, for giving voice, because I'm not considered somebody, right? And so I knew that if we receive that, what it can do to bring others in that are more recognizable and have the voice, and how many lives we literally can save, like literally save lives. And to know that our community, people are watching our community impact, and the stories that we get all the time in our inboxes, the emails where somebody emailed me and said, Dr. K, you gave me my life back. You know, to get those emails all the time, it's just, I know, and that's why I always tell people, love is free. Like, love is free. Just show up and love people, even if they don't think like you think, even if they don't vote the way you vote, they don't look the way you look, they don't eat the food you eat. So what? Just show up with love. And it is hard at times, right? When I hear comments and I'm standing up there and I'm the only chocolate beautiful drop in that room,
that's right? Nubian queen.
And that's right. I'm the only Nubian queen in that room, right? But standing there and hearing, I still show love. And that's something that's through God, honestly. That is through me asking God in my prayers to increase my character, increase my faith, increase my love, and showing up and people saying wild things. And at the end, they start crying. They be the same ones. They'll start crying, or they'll send me an email a couple months later and they'll be like, you really did change my perspective. Yeah. You changed how I want to show up. So it's working, right? And now for us to now have international outreach.
Yeah.
I have people in Australia reaching out now. Yeah. Like, we got a pipeline here. Can you help us? I had people in China. Yeah. We got a pipeline here. Can you help us? So I was like, oh my goodness. I never thought that.
Yeah. It started with vision. And because you had a bold vision, I think the years and being so young in the industry like Tinseltown, you sometimes can get lost in it. And I think 2019, I was definitely lost in it because I wanted to be validated by something in a project. And then here comes Preschool-to-Prison. And on this 5-year journey, it's made me rethink how I show up as a storyteller leading with humanity. And when we started this project, and even when we were interviewing, I remember the name because it was such a crazy, not crazy, but just such a profound and just impactful interview. When we were interviewing Tuesday in Manhattan, and she was sharing her experience about going to visit her son who was incarcerated, and seeing the connection that you had with her, and even seeing the journey with your baby brother, and seeing just how it all connected, and knowing that I've witnessed my family. I was just a Reese's Pieces away from being on the preschool to prison pipeline. So now getting to the road to the Emmys, it's like, we deserve it, Kay.
Thank you.
We deserve it because we showed up with humanity.
We did.
And we cared about...
And that was something we focused on during the planning of,
and we cared about, like, even with the documentary project of it all, I just kept seeing, how do we bring impact? And Tinseltown has a way of, like, you only measure impact if you get this amount of views. You only measure impact if this person co-signs. And we were reaching out to those people and they didn't even want to touch it. So for us to not only keep the faith, but to stay on this journey for 5 years, be an award-winning short documentary, still being able to do more in the future with this, it's like, we deserve this moment because we did the work that was in alignment to bring change and dismantle the preschool to prison pipeline and give communities hope for change.
Yes, I receive all of that. When you think about that, what advice do you have to new filmmakers? Because you and I get approached all the time, right? About people just think we could just show up, roll up tomorrow, and just do a whole film. But we now have a surge of people wanting to be famous now, a surge of all, right? And so, like, but what do you tell a new filmmaker?
I guess I just said it, lead with humanity. Even from doing preschool to prison documentary project, I was approached to direct a project about juvenile lifers, and it's called A Fight for Time. And I went and I was speaking to the juvenile lifers before we shot it in DC, and I showed up not an ego. I showed up open, and I showed up with compassion. And you know I'm an empath. Lord, I call myself Empath Ernie.
I don't know why I wasn't on that one with you, giving you some therapy.
Listen, I'm an empath. I feel
you
deep.
Do.
I feel deep. And if you show up as a filmmaker and you're ego focused, and like when we did production and we had people showing up that just wanted to feel like I'm just here to film this and do this and but not come with empathy, compassion, and saying, why am I here right now? What's the why that I'm doing this? And once this is all in done, what have I left on the table? What's the impact? So every filmmaker out there, if you want to do this, know that it is a crazy roller coaster ride. And also partner with people like our partnership. Don't force alignment. We've been saying that all this week.
All week we've been saying
and
that.
Don't settle for complacency.
Yes.
And my whole journey and, my filmmaking and storyteller career, there was a point where I settled for complacency because I thought, I'm supposed to be here, be miserable, and not really be doing the work that speaks to humanity and speaks to disrupting systems.
Yeah.
So show up and don't be afraid because you inspired me by not being afraid to go and do something. You were no filmmaker. You were a journalist. You were educator in the reform space. But you said, I'm going to have faith and I could do this. So every young filmmaker needs to lead with that.
Yeah.
And I think even to like wrap up and close this out, now here we are on the road to the Emmy in 5 years. Like, what's next? Like, what do we do, with the preschool to prison documentary project?
We continue to inform, enlighten, provide resources, outlet, continue to provide hope, because every space we've stepped into, we've given people hope, but not false hope. We've given people hope with tangible resources and solutions, which is why the Dismantle in the Pipeline workshop is so impactful. And I mean, to have people say, you changed my life. I mean, you've been there with me in so many places where people come up to me after I speak and say, God sent you here for me today.
Almost in tears.
Yes, right? And, always in tears. I mean, and then you get, this is just like, what do I do next? I'm great, right? And so I agree with you on that. And that's what we'll continue to do as we inform, think about what's the impact you can make in your community is what I tell people. Even when you talk about new filmmakers, not just find people like us. Before you even do that, why are you doing it? Why are you think that this is I could do a film on other things. I did this because I'm following God's will and I'm living in alignment to my purpose on earth. You better know why you're doing it. And a lot of people don't know why they're doing it. If you're doing it because you want fame, you're doing it because you want to be able to say you're a filmmaker, then you're already starting off on the wrong foot, because there's so many challenges and ups and downs that if you're not doing this in alignment to your purpose, you will be miserable. Fame and money does not make you happy.
Yeah.
It doesn't bring joy.
That's so true. And I'll just close on this. Thank you for trusting me and being a journey mate on this, because this has been one of the most rewarding and fulfilling journeys, not only of my life, but as a filmmaker, because I get to go out and be amongst the people and actually care about the babies and know that the educational lynching that has been happening right underneath our eyes, our noses off, that I at least,
so long. Yeah.
I'm out here disrupting it and literally building something to dismantle policies that are harmful. And I learned so much from you on this process and on this journey that I'm just grateful that 5 years we've been able to do what we've been able to do through the ups, the downs, the kicks, the screams, the pauses, the what next, that we don't have enough money. I'm full of so much gratitude. In the next 5 years, I truly, truly, truly believe it's going to blow our mind.
Yeah. We're changing generations, right? And I always tell people this is not about the individual. It's about family. It's about community. It's about society. It's about generations. And that's what we're aiming to do, is the generational impact. So I receive, and shout out to you for receiving me. And, you know, this is agape love, right? Of like, this is a form of that. And thank you for accepting me and allowing me to have my crazies. Because I've been out there just like, I'm up here, I'm down there, I'm up here, I'm down there. And you just stayed and you just saw me and allowed me to be. And it's because as you told me before, the crown is heavy. And when people are like, well, you the director, make the decision, I'm like, I don't know. So I just want to say thank you for being a renegade with me through this.
We did it.
Yes.
We did it, and we going to keep doing it.
We going to keep doing it.
Preschool to Prison documentary project.
Yes.
Y'all just keep following and see where this goes. And thank you for all the people who have supported us, because it's been a journey. So thank you. Thank you for having a vision.
Yes, thank you. You know, much support and love. Shout out to all of our supporters too. Much love to you. Thank you. Continue to be in community and fight and uplift your community. It just starts there. That's it. Peace.
Whew.